us here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. And Dean, what are we doing here today?
Hey, you know what? It's all about that heist thing going on. But before we get into that heisting, stealing them stories for the devil, just let me ask you people out there in the wonderful interwebs, if you take the time, if you like what we do, like, share, subscribe, give us that follow on YouTube. It always helps out. And that's great. And we'll talk more about that stuff at the end of the stream. But without further ado, none other than Sean K. Reynolds is here from MCG Games. He's been on the show multiple times. I think this is about his fifth visit, so he's family now. He really does not need an introduction. But I'm gonna just tell you, you know, this is a scientist turned game designer. He's a webmaster, developer, freelance wrangler, you name it. Sean probably done it in the RPG industry. So without further ado, welcome Sean K. Reynolds from MCG Games.
Thanks, guys. Always glad to be here.
All right, so Sean, before we even get into it, we was informed by our HR department, since this is your fifth time on the show, that we now have to supply you with health insurance. So you should be receiving a packet in the mail soon. It's not the best insurance, but it might be adequate. So check it out.
As long as it also gets me AD&D, accidental death and dismemberment, I'm happy.
It's good for paper cuts and bee stings.
So, like Dean said, if you don't know who Sean K. Reynolds is, you really need to do your research. He's been involved in so many of our favorite RPGs, not to mention all the great stuff he's done with MCG. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the Kickstarter, right? And before we get it, we were lucky enough to be partake in Stealing Stories for the Devil playtest with you. So before we even get into that, can you just tell our audience a little bit about this game that are living under a rock and may not know what this awesome Kickstarter is?
So the gist is that, if you like heists and you like heist films like Ocean's 11 and things like that, you know that playing somebody who's really, really good at doing a heist is hard to do in an RPG because you have to set up everything perfectly and there's a lot of assumptions to go on. And so Monte, who is a big fan of heist movies, made this game where the players and the GM work together to create the initial premise of the scenario, and all the characters have special abilities that allow them to just lie to reality. So if there's a movie scene where the main heist person has to go around a corner and there's coincidentally a door there leading to a closet that has a disguise that this person's going to put on, in this game, your character can be like, oh, I'm going to alter reality. So there's a door leading us to a supply closet right there, and I'm going to loot the disguise I want. You can just set up all that stuff by lying to reality, and it always works. The problem is that the more strange and difficult your lie is, it can actually cause you damage. But the lie still works. You can just theoretically kill yourself by making it work if it's hard enough.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Definitely fun mechanics.
Yeah, the playtest was awesome. I can't wait till everyone else gets to experience what we experienced, because I'm super excited for this.
Me too. I mean, to me, it's like the ultimate party game. It's going to be my new way to indoctrinate people in RPGs. Have a group of people over at the house and be like, hey, check out this box. So it's going to be awesome. Oh, man. So go ahead, Al, you're up.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter has been zooming past the stretch goals, with already hitting 6 of them and counting. So one of the goals you guys already hit, it's an entirely new game called Who the Devil Are You? And you guys just announced today an additional new game called The Devil's Dandy Dogs. Can you tell us about both these games? And is this something MCG will be doing in the future with these little special surprises and maybe future Kickstarters?
I mean, we definitely do like to do little surprise things. In every Kickstarter that we do, we try and do something innovative. And in this case, it's, hey, let's just add in a couple of other, games in the middle that we didn't talk about at the start. Who the Devil Are You? I have to clear my throat. Hold on. Who the Devil Are You is actually an iteration of a game that Monte's been working on for a while, and then one branch of it became Stealing Stories from the Devil. But the idea of Who the Devil Are You is the GM just kind of starts with a simple prompt, and works with the players to create a story, a premise for a scenario, a session, and you just run with it from there. Like the prompt might be, there is a giant, basically a parking lot full of just old demolished cars in a post-apocalyptic sort of setting, and floating above them is a floating rock with a castle on it. And the GM says, all right, who are you and why are you here? And the players say, well, we are survivors in a post-apocalyptic society, and this castle is here. We have no idea what's going on, and we're trying to figure out, can we get into it? Or they might take a different take and say, we just escaped from the castle, which we thought was a fantasy thing, and now there are all these cars, and we're trying to figure out how to survive in this post-apocalyptic thing. The prompt might be anything. Like we did another playtest where the prompt was, we are outside this kind of Egyptian-style pyramid, but with some sci-fi elements. And Monty was expecting it to be kind of like a heist, sort of that. But the playtest players, including myself, went off on this weird tangent, like, oh, we are each of us is a magical creature that is involved in like continuing the 1,000-year cycle of reincarnation and rebirth of the world, and this is the end of that cycle. And now we're coming back here to see why the fifth member hasn't appeared, and it turns out they had turned on us, and it's just a really great, fun way to say, let's do a one-shot story and just run with it and go in a crazy direction. And we've always surprised Monty every single time we do it.
Nice.
Would it have any
dandy?
would it have any cross mechanics like the conflict resolution from Stealing Stories for the Devil, or is it the conflict resolution has its own set of mechanics?
You need the Stealing Stories rules to play this other game, but it's basically the same sort of setup. Like if you play The Strange, you can play Numenera. If you play Numenera, you can play CSR. It's just building on the same sort of thing, except the story premise is not you are doing heist and you can alter reality. It's whatever you want it to be.
That sounds awesome. And the Devil's Dandy Dogs, because we all dog lovers here. This sounds phenomenal as well.
So I don't want to spoil too much about that because I don't recall exactly what we've revealed yet. But the premise, and this is all Shauna's idea, is that each character is a dog who is a part of the Devil's Shadow, and you are sent out to claim certain souls that have come due to the devil. And so you are out there being a dog, a magical dog, and you have to make a bargain with whoever soul is due. And sometimes that bargain is like, you need to go and avenge somebody who did me wrong, or you need to find my lost child so we can be reunited before I die, and that sort of thing. But you are trying to eventually build up enough MacGuffin, I'm not going to use the word for it, but enough power, wherever it is, that you can actually break free of the devil and do your own thing, because deep down in your heart, you are a good dog, even though you work for the devil.
I love
All
that.
dogs are good.
I love it.
Awesome. So
I can't wait for those.
no, those sound great. So we had Charles on last week, and we spoke about Stealing Stories for the Devil. You know, it said it's zero prep to get started. As players, we witnessed that firsthand. We enjoyed it. It was a blast. It was awesome. But is there anything at all that the GM has to prep beforehand to get started?
No, I mean, the scenario that I ran for you guys turned out to be, it was a fraternity that every year put on this very famous booze cruise around Halloween, and it was a costume party, and yet at the same time, like, doppelgangers of people kept appearing, and you were members of a rival fraternity trying to, that was your in, is that you pretended to be members of a rival fraternity. I came to that scenario with you guys saying, there's doppelgangers, and the scenario is going to happen on a cruise ship. And you all filled in everything else.
Yeah, I had no idea where we were going with that, but it turned out to be totally awesome.
Blast.
Yeah, that sort of setup is so cool. I just love being able to like come to the table. And you guys, again, you know how I set up. I barely have anything prepped, so this is awesome. You just come up with a basic idea, and everybody builds up the actual scenario at the table. So the prep is the game, kind of. It's just awesomely interwoven.
Yeah, it was a blast. Like I said, I still, I didn't know what to expect, and we just kind of, ran with it. It was great. I was a crazy DJ, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Oh,
I just remember we spent like 20 minutes figuring out how to get on the boat. And then once we got there, we never really thought it through. It's like, okay, we're on the boat now. Maybe we should have thought about this.
it was awesome though. It was fun. Oh man.
One thing I like about prep for this game, or the interaction that leads to the live play of prep of it, is that if your character is good at something, you're going to want to put that into the scenario so that your character can do the cool thing. Like, I'm sure we've all played a game where you've got a character who's really good at lock picking and there's no locks in the scenario, especially if it's like a convention game and you brought a character or they just made the pre-gen weird and you're like, I have this cool thing that I don't get to do.
Right.
Well, stealing stories, you're like, no, my character's good at lock picking. Part of that interaction is, oh, and there's a door with this really tough lock on it.
Yeah. That was
Or I'm good at climbing. There's something I got to climb. Or I'm the persuasive character. I'm going to have to charm somebody who's really, really difficult. And it gives every person who's playing an opportunity to stick in something their character's good at, so they can shine in that game session.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, I mean, I was playing the schemer, so I was lying to reality as the DJ, which is crazy. So it was pretty cool.
So it seems like you have zero prep. So you basically come up with a concept or pull a concept that's already in the book, correct? And then allow the players to build on that narrative and to take, the adventure, which I guess in Act 1 is where the players actually build on the narrative. And then, they basically do the work for you.
Yeah, I mean, the players do the prompts, and the GM always has the option to do but there's a takeaway. So they're like, oh, well, there's a door that leads right to the captain's cabin where that thing we need to steal is. And the GM can say, but there's a security guard because there was a bomb scare that somebody called in a week ago. And so it always gives the GM the opportunity to go and put an obstacle in the way of your easy win, which makes the game more fun.
You managed to incorporate lying, right? Time travel, heist mechanics, all, wrapped up in this sweet, interesting setting burrito for people to play around in. When we played it, right, it seemed really easy for you to roll with the decisions we made in the first act. What I want to know is that designed in the game to help the GM do that? And how about if someone is an inexperienced GM or inexperienced with improv? Do you have tips to help them keep the story together?
Well, the game isn't entirely written yet, so I'm sure that's something that Monte will want to address. But the premise of the game, and in fact, some of the rules literally have yes and or yes but built into them, so that if you roll and you almost succeed at something, there's a threshold of, well, this is what you were trying to do, this is your kind of partial success, and that's right there in the game. And if someone who is not really familiar with how to do this sort of interactive and player-created stuff gets a little stalled, the GM can just prompt them and say, well, what would you like to do? And if they don't quite succeed, they still get a gimme. And so they feel like, oh, okay, they're seeing the path put out in front of them of what is expected of them for the game in baby steps.
That's really awesome to hear. Because I do know a lot of people who shy away from this no prep to little prep games because they feel like they can't really, do the stuff on the fly. But again, the way the mechanics seem to be built in this seems to help, again, lay that track for them. It's pretty nice. But yeah, now we're talking a little bit more about the game. Do you have a favorite character type to play or GM for in the Stealing Stories for the Devil, or excuse me? And can you explain to our viewers what each of the types specializes in?
Honestly, I have not kept myself super up on the rules that Monte's been working on because we had the Darkest House and I've been working on Ptolus and stuff. So I know that there are sleepers and I know that there are scions. And the sleepers are the ones who have been kept in hypersleep and suspended animation for decades or centuries at a time. And you're awakened and you've got all these, nano implants. You can shoot wires out of your fingers to do stuff. And the scions are basically the people who've been living on the ship awake the entire time, and due to their exposure to transdimensional radiation, because your ship is not only a spacecraft, but it's a dimensional craft, these people have developed these abilities basically as mutations or psychic abilities or whatever you want to call them. The net effect is that either type of character can do the lying of one of the three types, whether you're lying to people, lying to the past, or lying to the reality. It's just a question of what sort of flavor do you want to have for your background as a character, whether you're someone who's been asleep for 300 years and woken up to do this mission, or someone who's been like living in the skeezier parts of the ship, just kind of getting by and being sneaky.
I believe we all played Scions, correct? I could be wrong, but I think
I played a sleeper. I remember I was a sleeper.
Then I definitely played the Scion.
I'm pretty sure I was a Scion also.
Yeah, I went with a sleeper because remember I had to always remember I had the little pad that I interacted with stuff with.
Yeah.
That was my thing. It was cool though. Like I said, I loved it. It was just great. So speaking of that, when we played and we finished Act 1, you took all the ideas from us, for the direction of the game. We took a quick break, and I guess that's where you formed the basis for the adventure. Now, is this something that's explained in the game, and could you give us an idea how it might work for a longer campaign?
Well, first of all, there is a longer campaign that comes in the box set. So there's a 12-session story arc of one season, because it's presented like a television show. So each session is an episode of your show that you're doing. And there are, key bits that help you. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, but like, you will go out and do these missions and you will come back and you'll interact with, other officials on the ship, and you'll go out and do these missions and you'll come back. And then you realize, okay, we're fixing reality out there on this 21st century Earth, but stuff is changing on the ship too. And we seem to be the only ones who are noticing that. What's up with that? And then eventually you get to the point where there are people who are on the ship who have apparently been there the whole time, but you've never met them before. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to this. But as to your question of like the Act 1, where you are establishing the scenario and then you take a pause, that's built into the game. And there's GM advice there for saying, all right, there's going to be tons of resources like maps and diagrams of things, so you can know, hey, I need to get into a skyscraper or a bank vault or this and that, and like the GM can just go to that example map that's included in the box set and go, okay, I don't need to draw a map of a bank vault. I have that. I don't need to draw a map of a soccer stadium. I have that. I can do those things. But that 5-minute break is really there just to give the GM the opportunity to go, okay, what do I want to do with this? What cool stuff can we do in Act 2? And where do I want to steer the end game so that when we do the turn over to Act 3, how we can finish things up. So it's just good practice to have a 5-minute break for the GM to think ahead to what comes next.
Like that.
Now I really want to see if you steer the direction of the adventure, the narrative of just life on a ship, because that actually could be really cool.
Yeah,
it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
So many possibilities.
First off, before we even go to the next question, if you haven't backed this Kickstarter, please do go. Right now, we really want to see the next complete game added to this Kickstarter. That's the next stretch goal. I think they're like 20 grand away from that, or 15 grand. We just double check to make sure. But yeah, yep, we're about 15 grand away. Please go back. I want this third game. I want to play Devil Doggies. So please go and back it. And we played it. It looks phenomenal. But we're going to move on to some of the other products that Sean has worked on for MCG, because we're MCG fanboys and we want to talk about everything. And since we got Sean here, we're going to talk about it. So, your latest Numenera supplement, it's already reached the backer's hands and can now be purchased at the MCG store. Vertices, did I pronounce it correctly? Because I know I'm probably getting. I did?
Yep.
Hey.
Can you tell our viewers who didn't back this Kickstarter what exactly is this book and what's it add to the Ninth World?
So we had an earlier book called Voices of the Datasphere, it's about the datasphere, which is this digital environment that envelops the Ninth World. It's basically, you can digitize your character and go into the internet or Tron or whatever you like, however you want to see it. It's, you're going from meat space into virtual space. And then you can download yourself back again. Like, it's literally Tron, where your body is getting digitized and you end up in this virtual realm that could be anything. Like, because it's the Ninth World, there are layers and layers and layers from different civilizations, and there are multiple civilizations that built parts of their different dataspheres, and they're all linked together. So you could get into weird parts of the datasphere which were built by things that clearly were not human at all. So you're wandering around, and there's just weird physics in this realm. Like, you could wander into a video game created by godlike beings that were radically different than humans, and you're just like, okay, I'm kind of like Super Mario here, getting chased by monsters. And then you exit that, and then suddenly you're in a simulation of something that's much like the Ninth World. So that's Voices of the Datasphere. Vertices is a bunch of encounter locations, basically like adventuring sites, each of which has a connection to the Datasphere. You can use that, like the GM can use that connection or not. You don't need Voices of the Datasphere for it. But if you are doing Datasphere stuff, that's kind of one of your avenues in. And there are three powerful godlike beings called Voices from the Datasphere that have taken an interest in the various sites presented in the Vertices book. And whichever of those voices is dominant kind of dictates what NPCs are there, because they send some other explorers to explore them. It can affect like the power level of certain creatures there, and you might end up allying with one or more of these voices, or becoming enemies with one and trying to drive them out, and eventually perhaps going into the Datasphere and confronting them directly. But in simplest terms, if you're not doing any Datasphere stuff at all, it is 8 fully described places for your characters to explore. And there's a random settlement generator, because I think it's handy if you have a weird, crazy ruin, and then nearby there's a village, and the villagers are like, oh, don't go there, it'll turn you into a slime monster. And you can be like, or it's sort of a Numenera is available for slime monster creatures. And there's a whole gang of rival explorers too. There's like 25 of them. So if you just need a quick NPC of, I need a glaive NPC or an explored NPC, you can just pick them up, drop them into your situation, and use them as people who need to be rescued, or a rival group of explorers who want to steal your stuff, or bandit leaders that are trying to take your stuff, and so on. That's Vertices.
Those are always helpful.
Nice.
You just rip them off the PDF, and for any Numenera game you're playing, a list of NPCs is like godsend, especially for improv GMs.
And I do enjoy that idea of having a random settlement nearby that I guess warns you differently or whatever have you. It's just a little weird little thing to have added on. It's nice. But yeah, again, we're speaking about other things you've done. You're also the lead designer for the Ptolus 5e conversion, which has been getting rave reviews. Now you're writing a brand new adventure for the massive city of Ptolus called Runeblood Blessing. Can you tell us a little bit about this adventure, and do you know when it will be released?
So Runeblood Blessing is that there is a sorcerer who has invented a magical ritual that gives magical powers to other people. So if you're not a mage, you can basically learn some cantrip or first level magic. And it's really, really cheap. So all these people sign up for it. Meanwhile, there's a crime spree going on, and the people involved are using these magical blessings to do their crime. And so half the adventure is you're trying to figure out what the connection is between the person who's doing the ritual and these criminals. And there's a whole bunch more weird stuff going on, and it all culminates in traveling to a very, very strange place associated with Ptolus, where you confront a powerful spellcaster. And sorry, I was going to say, I don't know the exact release date. I know that it's just come back from editing. I was looking at Ray's editing comments today. So that means it's probably going to be about a month or two in PDF. But Monty and I also are working on the third adventure in that series. The first one is by Bruce Cordell. And the third one is called Return of the Even Hand, where the Even Hand cult has come back and is doing a bunch of stuff. And so we're writing that one. And then all 3 of those adventures are going to be released in a PDF and then compiled into one print book that'll be available, I think, much later this year. So there's still a whole lot of new Ptolus stuff coming out.
Sweet.
I know your home game. Are you still playing Ptolus in your home game? Or are you using them as guinea pigs for this
I
event?
am. Yes. And we're meeting on Monday in person for the first time since COVID. So it'll be our big double long time period for our. Normally we only play for 2 hours. So I'm hoping to get like 4 or 5 hours worth of gaming with, lots of in-person interaction. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
All right. Without further ado, the most important question of the night. The burning question, and I don't care what anybody says, the most important question. How is Claim the Sky coming along? Is there anything new that you can tell me, or us, but me, or that's changed, with your play test or anything that's changed since the last time you were here?
Well, so Claim the Sky, we've gotten the edits back from Ray, and we're getting lots of really cool art in through Bear and the artists. And one of the cool things that's in this book is we wanted to describe some superhero layers for PCs. So if you're kind of like street level heroes like Daredevil, you can have like a secret base behind a laundromat, and we give you a map for that. If you're kind of the more advanced heroes, like kind of Avengers level, you get or a Fantastic Four, you get like your own penthouse suite in a skyscraper with a map for that. And then the super high powerful ones where you're starting to do space stuff, you have your own satellite. And so we've got a map for that and details on that.
Yes.
And
That's awesome.
I don't know if you've ever seen the old original handbook to the Marvel Universe, like entries for things like Baxter Building and Avengers Tower, where it's got like the view of it and then the cutaway with all the different stories and like all the stuff inside. That's in the book. We're doing those for Claim the Sky as well.
Oh man, I'm great. I'm so excited. We already know I got the playtest material and I've run through stuff. Oh man, I'm telling you, number one, I'm like a little kid at the candy store. I can't wait to get my hands in that book.
Yeah, Dean doesn't shut up about Claim the Sky.
Listen, I've already started designing a whole world for it. So you knocked it out the park. You made a comic book nerd happy because I don't know if you read the review, but I'm looking forward to it so much. So thanks a lot.
I read it and I shared it on our Slack. We were very touched that you're so excited about it.
How's the other 2 books in the Claim the Sky Kickstarter coming along as well? First Responders and Origin?
So I'm wrapping up development on First Responders right now, which is the book about being like emergency workers dealing with floods and fires and earthquakes. And I just finished the scenario chapter where there's a volcanic eruption in a small mountainside town, and you have to like evacuate people and rescue climbers and scouts and things like that. And Bruce is writing the origin, which is the kind of more subtle, like, oh, supers have just happened and nobody really knows about them. There's all these like organizations trying to figure out what's going on. So he's kind of halfway through that.
I'm so excited for all this stuff, quite honestly. I would just love the Heroes Universe type stuff. It's just, I can't wait to see the finished
it's
stuff.
definitely a good time to be an MCG fan.
Absolutely.
Very much so. But yeah, we've come to the end of our mainline questions here. We do have a couple questions from the audience. Let me just scroll up here a little bit so I can find the first one here. So Dissonant Signal asks, speaking of that Kickstarter, I believe it was the Numenera one.
Yes.
When is Break the Horizon coming? I'm dying to get that book in my hands.
I don't know offhand. Like if it's not on the coming soon page, then we haven't announced exactly when it's coming out. Bruce and I were writing that and Vertices at basically the same time, just because that's how our writing schedule happened to work out, that Bruce had a window to write that then, and I had a window to write Vertices. And so Vertices is coming out next. Actually, it literally came out today. Like it is out on the MCG Shop and Drive-Thru today. And Break the Horizon is probably another 2 to 3 months away. I'm not up on the schedule just because my head is so deeply embedded in Ptolus and First Responders and these other Ptolus adventures and and everything else. It's often a case where I'm like, oh, I have a book coming out this week.
So that's awesome. So there's your answer to that one. Living for Crit said, Sean, if you had to pick one album to listen to prior to running Stealing Stories to the Devil, what would you choose?
Ooh, one album. You know, I think I would take the soundtrack to the movie Snatch.
Nice.
Because there's just such good instrumental stuff there and some really good stuff with lyrics. And it just really gets me in the mood of being like people sneaking around and lots of double crossing going on and all the stuff going on. I think, yeah, that's what I would say, Snatch.
My favorite part of Snatch is that Dags. Yeah,
Yeah.
had Dags before.
I used to be able to do a pretty good Brad Pitt accent talking like that, but I won't do it on camera.
Bear asked, how many ducks do you have at this point?
More than I can count, it's probably like 30.
Nice.
That's referring to the, they don't tell you this, but you can just take ducks home from the park.
Oh, I love that, Beep. It's not illegal. It's perfectly legal to take ducks from the
Take a
park.
duck home.
Don't tell that to Al, because tomorrow he's going to be on Twitter. Look at this duck I found.
I mean, there is a park right there, and I do see ducks quite frequently.
That's funny. All
Do
right.
you name them?
You can't tell them apart. I have been feeding crows though too, and the only reason I can tell any of them apart is that one of them has 2 leg bands. So that one's nicknamed Leg Warmers by my Twitter followers.
They said 750K, everyone gets a duck.
Kickstarter.
You know what? If we get to 750K, I will push the rest of MCG to make that stretch goal happen. Yes, we will do that.
Secret ducks,
My daughter would
time-bending
be
ducks.
extremely happy if that came in the mail.
That's the secret character who appears on the ship. You're like, why is this duck here? The duck's like, I'm in charge, fellas.
I feel like it was a Howard the Duck, a very actual serious duck.
There's some more questions coming in. You guys want to read one of these?
So somebody, Kazarek said, I did have a question. With
Stealing Story for the Devil.
Okay, Stealing Stories for the Devil. I didn't realize it was one. Okay. And it having a collaborative story, is there a way for the GM to spring puzzles, traps, and the like on the party? Basically, throw stuff that they can't anticipate despite the story having been built as a group.
Oh yeah, all the time. Like, just because you were there for working out the general framework, like, I started with, it's on a cruise ship and there are doppelgangers, and you're the ones who said, oh, it's a Halloween booze cruise by this fraternity and blah, blah, blah. But like, there was, 500 people on that cruise ship, and you didn't have the layout all planned, and so I could just start throwing, wacky stuff at you. Heck, so one of the premises was people had been seeing doppelgangers of actual people in the same way that people kept having like creepy clown sightings a couple of years ago. And you're like, oh, that's just a weird thing, until one of you actually ran into your own doppelganger during the game. And you're like, I don't know what, ooh, is this real? And then the guy's like, get on my way, buddy. And so it's like, you didn't know what to do with that information. It's still totally possible to confuse and surprise the players, even though they have set up the basics of the scenario.
Yeah, that totally creeped us out when it happened in the game.
Yeah, it messed us up, yeah.
Dissident Single asks, do you have an active or former first responder help with the development of that book?
Yes, her name is Shauna Germain. Yeah, she was a volunteer firefighter and EMT, I think in college or right after college. And so she drew on a lot of her own experiences in talking about this stuff. And she also is trained, she majored in psychology in grief trauma. So she's very aware of all this stuff, and she has a lot of resources that she cites in the book.
Nice.
Me personally, I think first responders is going to be, like, I'm going out on a limb here. I think 2 years from now or 3 years from now, I think first responders will be one of the most important books MCG ever made, because you basically giving us the tools to do D20 modern in Cypher system. So it's no matter what genre you're running, if it's a modern setting, you're going to have first responders there because it's going to be useful in so many different games.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably true as well. Like, yeah, people love running modern in Cypher, so.
Well, not only that though, the nice thing about it too is going to give us a vehicle or a medium to build just regular people within the game premise, and that is also huge. You know, that's going to go right in line with, you know, Claim the Sky and Origins, because if you want to do that type of origin story where nobody has abilities at first, you can build these people who are just people before they get a focus and before it's going to be great. I'm totally on board for that book. Totally. So
Sean, I'm gonna ask you this. Sean was kind enough to give us a special surprise.
Oh.
So, Sean, do you want to do the rapid fire questions first, or do you want to do the surprise first?
Let's do the surprise first. I don't want to build up the hype too much, you know? I mean, it's a flat thing, so it's probably not too exciting.
I don't know.
It's not cash. How about that?
Oh, it's not cash. I don't know.
Just so everybody knows, Sean was, gracious and kind enough to send us.
Don't show your tags.
A little surprise that he wanted us to open it on stream. So we I guess that's what we're gonna do right now.
Yeah, surprise from Sean time. Let's see.
I was expecting a duck, so now that Sean told us it's a flat thing.
Let's see, what do we have here? Another envelope. I love envelopes.
You're welcome.
Ooh. What?
Oh! I mean,
this is so awesome.
It looks like we have a Cypher
XP
Unlimited.
cards with the Cypher Unlimited logo on it.
XP cards. Oh, man.
That's why I asked you guys for your logos, so I could build those.
This is amazing.
I want to know that, I and all of MCG really appreciate your enthusiasm and your love of the game and your support, and I want to do something fun, and so I took our template for making XP cards, and I made you some custom CU XP cards.
This is awesome. I can't wait till, because, now our local gaming stores are opening up again, so we can start running demos again. So these are definitely the XP cards I'm using on our demos.
And now that friendly, game stores are opening a little more, hosting stuff, I was considering going in and running some games. Now I have more of an incentive to do so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is amazing.
Now I feel bad that we're going to run you through a gauntlet of rapid fire questions.
Oh, I can take it. I mean, Monty fired me yesterday, so I'm tough.
As you know, this is the part where we pull out your essence and we stretch it on the table for the whole world to see. These are our rapid fire questions. And since you're a 5-time visitor on the show and you've been through many rapid fire questions, we designed these questions to be all about the devil, heist, and time travel. So are you ready for these rapid fire questions?
As ready as I can expect to be.
Alright, let's get things going. Yeah, a little bit of a drum roll. The crappiest drum roll in the world. Alright, let's get this going.
Awesome.
Would you rather be a con artist or a pickpocket?
Ooh, a con artist. I love talking to people. I'm a super extrovert, so yeah.
This is
all right.
3 time machine questions.
These are very serious too. Now, your favorite time machine of these two: a DeLorean DMC-12 complete with a flux capacitor from Back to the Future, or the time displacement sphere from Terminator?
I would have to go with the DeLorean because it's more versatile and it does not assume that there's killer robots involved.
Good answer.
Here's another time machine question. Choice between 2. The TARDIS from Doctor Who or the time sled from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine?
I'd go with the time sled because I've always had a love of the older H.G. Wells, the Time Machine movie, And I even like the one with Guy Pearce.
It always reminded me of Santa's sleigh, so I always had that picture of a Santa Claus traveling through time. So.
I mean, the guy delivers presents all over the world in one night. He probably has time travel.
Facts, though, facts.
Chris brought up a good point about the Terminator. He said you always wind up naked wherever you show up.
Give me your clothes and your motorcycle.
Ooh. All right, next one here, another time machine one. The phone booth from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or the hot tub from Hot Tub Time Machine.
You know, I think I would have a very limited supply of that, what is it, Polish soft drink or energy drink, what it is. So I would have to go with the phone booth from Bill and Ted.
Oh, nice callback to the actual movie.
Best heist movie between The Sting and Ocean's 11.
You know, just because I like more of the actors in Ocean's 11, I'll have to go with Ocean's 11. But Sting also has that great classic soundtrack, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't go wrong with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Would you rather be the driver or the muscle in a heist?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, I'm not generally a violent sort of person, so I'd have to go with the driver. And I really enjoyed Baby Driver as a movie. Had such great stunts and use of music to punctuate things. That's where I would kind of project myself.
Nice.
Good answer.
Good choice.
Alright, so better devil in film, Tim Curry in Legend, or Robert De Niro in Angel Heart, or Al Pacino from The Devil's Advocate?
I'm gonna have to go with Tim Curry. Yeah, I mean,
Night.
there is a saying. They say that you can tell a lot about a person based on which version of Tim Curry is their first or their favorites. You've got, you have him playing Darkness, or you have him playing Dr. Frankenfurter, or he's Pennywise the Clown. Like, it's just like, okay, that's Tim Curry. He's amazing. I gotta choose him.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I love the opening soliloquy from Legend. Mother Night. Awesome. So.
And the fact that he was able to keep his head up with those giant horns on, that's just impressive. Doubly.
Yeah.
I also really like Robert De Niro in Angel Heart though, because he was the devil that, he was the cool guy in the suit style devil. Was pretty cool.
Well, if you're going to go that way, I would also throw out Viggo Mortensen in The Prophecy.
Oh yeah.
Creepy AF in that movie.
Well, but Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate was like he was so subtle. He brought the whole Lucifer idea, because he brought that, here, I'll give you exactly what you want. But I always got an ace. That was awesome. So, which devil child would you want to face? Damien from The Omen, the Children of the Corn, or Children of the Damned?
I'm going to say Children of the Corn, partly because they're just kids. They don't have any supernatural powers, so it'd be easy to beat them up. And also, partly because my cat Malachi is named for Malachi. Children of the Corn.
Nice.
He wants you too, Malachi.
All right, Anthony.
All right, this is the last one that goes with the Kickstarter. What was the first gaming box set you ever remember owning?
Oh, that's the magenta basic D&D box, the Tom Moldvay edition that had Keep of the Borderlands in it.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff.
So I'm old. So it looks like you made it. You survived. Everybody.
Hold on. Bear has a bonus question.
Thanks,
Bear
Bear.
asks, how long have you had your driver's license for?
32 years. I got my license late.
Nice. So you made it through. You survived. Give Sean a hand.
Sean survived the bonus question.
And it's been great. It's always great having you on the show, Sean. Once again, thank you. Absolutely. These cards are just awesome, people. I don't know if you can see them, but yes, I got XP cards that say Cypher Unlimited. I am the man right about now, or we're the men,
That's
it's
amazing.
great.
So cool.
It is amazing. So everybody, yes, thank you once again. Anthony, you got any final words?
Um, Pretty much, thank you again, Sean. Thank you so much for these. I'm gonna put them to great use. I wish I was going to Gen Con this year. Sadly, I decided not to go because I would have been using them there. But I'm definitely using them in my local game store. So when I'm running demos with Numenera, this is the new XP cards they're getting. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for coming on. And most importantly, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Twitch, please, please, please go back to Kickstarter, go to MCG. Not only are they a great company, they're great people, they make phenomenal products, which is the most important thing. And right now the stretch goals are just going up and up and up. And I want to see what's to follow after this. Thank you so much for supporting MCG and for supporting us. So we love you guys.
Can I add one little thing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just in the vein of altering reality and lying to reality and making changes, I want everybody to know that I have been wearing 3 different pairs of glasses for this entire interview.
What?
Oh, awesome.
And they're different colors. So I've got green ones and purple ones and blue ones. So if you watch this video, you look back, I will take off a pair of glasses and I'll put on a different pair of glasses.
I wasn't paying attention.
Anybody noticed?
Oh, I definitely was not.
That's cool.
I need to take I need to take that little thing you did and do all my sunglasses that I have on the side. Just have them on the side here and just periodically just. It'd be way more obvious though, but still.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, you could be lying, and this is.
It could be.
These are just pieces of cardboard.
So, again, with that being said, that's great. You know what? Just again, like we talk about as usual, if you like what we do and you really want to support us, please once again subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Come over, join our Discord. That's always huge. We have a coffee account. You can leave us a little something there. Any little bit helps. But the biggest thing is your support and coming to watch what we do. So if you like what we do, feel free, yell at us, tell us that we suck, whatever, And if there's any ideas out there, people, you want us to do another show, some subject you want us to cover, hit us up. Let us know. That's the type of guys we are. We enjoy this.
Most importantly, Dean, join our Facebook group. Or last but not least, join our Discord. We have the largest fan-run Discord with over 4,000 members, where all things Monte Cooke games are being played. Come chat about Monte Cooke games. Come, there's live games being run daily. Yes, I said daily. There's probably people running a game right now on the server. So if you want to play Numenera, Invisible Sun, or any of the other wonderful settings and games by Monte Cooke Games, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord, and all 3 of us will be here, and pretty much everybody in chat will be here, and we have a ton of people from MCG on there as well, so join us there, and like Dean said, we love you guys.
Yeah, and thank you again, everyone, for coming on. Thank you, Sean, again, so much for the cards, for coming on, for talking about the new stuff. Very excited about the stuff. And yeah, if you haven't one more time, here's some links down below where you can check out Sean's stuff, check out the new Kickstarter for The Devil Made Us Do It, for Stealing Stories for the Devil. Definitely go back it. There's some awesome stuff in there, including extra games. Like, who doesn't like extra games? But yeah, and so from us at the CU...
One last thing before you cut us off.
We will...
Next week, Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Monte Cooke coming on to discuss all the mechanics of Stealing Story for the Devil. So if you have any questions that you want us to ask Monte, either hit us up on this YouTube video or hit us up on the Discord, or come watch it live and ask Monte yourself. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer those questions. We're going to go over the Kickstarter and actual what's the game about. So come chat with Monte next week. And we hope to see you there.
And Bear, just so you know, Monte, that's the guy that's on the corner. I just gave him a bottle of wine the other day. We bring him on because he knows everything. So Bear. Bear asked who Monte was. So I was like,
either way, yes, definitely check out next week. You don't want to miss that. So from us at the CU, we will see you next week. Peace. Alright,